This is our second series, second segment of the quarter on estate planning. We've done the One Big Beautiful Bill Act to get us ready for tax season. We're doing estate planning tonight, and in March, we will have a feature on real estate investing and managing taxes in that. But tonight, we are welcome to have the esteemed attorney who's been on before, Miss Mariah Street. She is our go-to for all things estate planning. So
Yes.
yeah, Jeff and I will kind of serve as moderators tonight, and
Hmm.
Mariah will lead us. So she's had her own practice. She's a Tar
Hmm.
Heel as well, and she's flies with the Eagles from law school and all that stuff. So she's
Hmm.
locally homegrown. So welcome. Good to see you as always.
Yes, good to see y'all too. Thank you for having me. I love being here all the time.
Yeah. So before we get going, now, where are you? Tell us where you are now, as far as
Oh
estate
yes.
planning and all that fun stuff.
Yes, so I am an attorney at Trust and Estates Law Group, based in Raleigh, and we do all things. It's all things estate. So on the planning side, estate planning, wills, trust, powers of attorney, um, it runs the gambit of special needs planning, long-term care, that type of stuff.
Awesome.
And also on the administration side. So when somebody passes away, then helping to administer an estate, whether it's through probate or if they had a trust administration as well. So full service estate law firm. So
Awesome.
yes.
Yeah, when we get these calls a lot, and most times it's, of course, it's you're dealing with the loved one. The most obvious case is the children and parents,
Yes.
and we tell clients that there's no way to prepare for it. You don't get to practice it.
I know,
It's only going to
unfortunately.
happen, technically twice. You
Yeah,
know,
technically. Mm-hmm.
technically, so you don't get to
Mm-hmm.
practice it, and so we even struggle
That's
with
it.
it.
Mm-hmm.
As I struggled with it and what to do,
Yes.
when both my parents passed. So I get
Yeah,
it. So
it's hard.
yep. So all right. Well, we will get started tonight, so we can go over these things. Let's get our screen going. But yeah,
Let's
so here we
do
are
it.
talking about some principles of preserving wealth. So our objectives tonight, of course, are talking about things you need to do during your lifetime, as well as how you distribute your wealth and possessions and things of that nature after your death. So those are the two things we'll focus on this evening, and helping people understand just some basic concepts tonight, nothing too deep. So from there, we will definitely get started. So here's what we call the estate management pyramid, the different tactics, the critical documents, and Mariah will get into how estates work for us. So, of course, we'll lead off talking about probate. So, Mariah, take it away for us on probate and explaining that basic process.
Yes. So, probate is basically the process of transferring a deceased person's assets to whoever the heirs or the beneficiaries are. And a common misconception that I know a lot of people have is that if you have a will, then your whoever your loved ones won't have to go through that probate process, but that is not the case. So it's whether if you had a will, or you did not have any planning in place, whoever is named as either the executor in a will or a personal representative, if you didn't have one, they will be the people to have to go to the court, open up your estate, and distribute assets from there. Now, obviously, the process is a little different if you had a will versus you didn't. If you have a will, then your assets, once debts are paid, when creditors are paid, there's a creditor period that has to be that's mandated by state law that has to occur. But after all of that occurs, then assets will be distributed according to the will if the deceased person had one, and if they did not have one, then it will be distributed according to state law. So here in North Carolina has its own laws when it comes to who gets what if you did not have any planning in place, and typically it's next of kin, So, like spouse, if you're married, then to kids. If no kids, parents, then siblings, um, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews. Like it goes down the down the line.
Gotcha.
And so, I think a lot of people want to be in control over, what happens to the things that you work so hard for, even if I know a lot of people feel like they don't have, because I don't have anything that I don't need to, do any type of planning. Um, but the in actuality, what happens is, if you don't do any planning, then whoever's left behind that has to deal with everything, it's stressful
For sure.
because, they don't have any instructions from you. Um, and, on top of having probably grieving you, because most of the time it is somebody that's close to the person that is having to handle, the estate and stuff like that. Um, so even just that, giving your family and loved ones peace of mind that they don't have to deal with, you know, legal and financial issues on top of emotional ones, that is
Hmm.
invaluable. As well as, I think a lot of people are starting to understand the concept of, like transferring wealth and generational wealth, even if, you feel like you don't have, everything, like a lot of assets and things. But I know a lot of people, especially in our community, that we have, real estate, and real estate is extremely valuable. That's one of the main ways that a lot of people have built wealth in this country. And, being able to plan for an asset like that is very invaluable. And also retirement accounts. A lot of people, they invest in when you're working. You
Hmm.
invest in your retirement. People have life insurance. So there are, I'm sure, things that you own that you don't think are valuable, but that really they can be down the line, and they can be, planned for in a way that makes sense for whoever's left behind. And that's where going within coming to an estate planning attorney to maybe talk things through. If you don't understand something, you don't understand terms, it's great to have an advisor in your corner, to be able to get those wishes in writing, whether a will is best for you or maybe a trust, whatever the case may be. Um, I think that is very helpful either way. So,
Awesome. Awesome. So before we get into the next segment on the documents beyond the will, some other things that we need to consider from Jeff and I's perspective as financial advisors. We just talked about the will, but there are some things that we have we ensure people do on our side, and they're what we call will substitutes. So Jeff will touch on the key things in terms of your bank accounts, insurance policies as you just mentioned, and retirement accounts, and kind of describe those will substitutes that need to be in place.
Yeah, so essentially, when it comes to those will substitutes, we're looking at um, how those accounts are left to your loved ones after death. And there's certain policies, and remind me of the name. I can't remember the exact terminology on that, Marcus. Um,
Yeah, so basically on your bank accounts, some banks label it transfer on death, some
yeah,
banks
that's what I
call
was
it
looking for.
payable on death. Um,
Exactly.
and you see the same thing with your brokerage account, because they don't
Exactly.
have quote unquote the word beneficiary. Um, but then when we get to life insurance policies, they do use the word beneficiary,
Yeah.
and same thing for your retirement accounts.
Yeah.
Yep. So
And that, excuse me. I was
no,
just
go
gonna
right
say that
ahead.
all that is just who is gonna take control over those funds once you pass away and leave this earth. And that's, like I said, that's important for all type of accounts. And they do substitute a will, but it's important to still have that will for the grand scope of things as well. And come back to
Yeah.
finish what you're about to say, Mark.
Yeah, no, 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 absolutely. So yeah, and we call those will substitutes because they help facilitate that beyond and kind of bypass the probate process. Um,
Exactly.
so that's the purpose. And unfortunately, we've had a couple of situations where that box didn't get checked in the checklist,
mm,
and it just
Hmm.
caused money, time, and additional things for the family to do. So I just want
Exactly.
to kind of, as we were on that topic about will and probates, just want to kind of, from a financial perspective, those are the things that we kind of are checking for. And one other thing, I'll kind of stop right here. And this is why we actually are having this so early in our season, this presentation tonight, is, one of the questions we ask, and it's interesting, Jeff, you probably noticed it too. So in our financial planning software, the question about, do you have a will? Do you have an advance directive? Have you met with an estate planning attorney? Used to be at the end of our questionnaire. They have moved it up to, what's your name? What's your date of birth? What's your children? Do you have a
Mm-hmm.
will? Before we even get to the financial stuff. So in turn, it's one of our questions. It's usually on the back end after we've had our financial planning meeting, but on the back end, we're like, how do you feel about your estate plan?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had one person say they felt good.
Yeah.
One.
Mm-mm-mm.
So most of us, you all don't beat yourselves up. Most of us are in the same boat where we don't do it. We didn't know to do it. We don't know how to do it, and
Yeah.
that's why we're bringing this here tonight. So I just want to put that in there. So let's move on to those critical documents. So beyond the will, Mariah, can you break down for us other healthcare documents that are needed, financial documents that are needed, kind of a brief definition and how they kind of act to help manage that estate?
Yes, very good question. So a lot of people think that estate planning is just planning for death, but is actually planning for emergency situations. And so that is what these documents do. If you mainly, if you were ever in a situation where you were what's called incapacitated, that's just a fancy word for you are still alive, but you cannot make decisions for yourself. So maybe you were in a car accident and you're in a coma, or you have dementia. Those are situations where you're still alive, but you're not able to manage your day to day. And so that means you need somebody else to step in and do it for you. And so that's where, um, for your healthcare needs, you would need to preferably have a healthcare power of attorney that will name an agent, um, that you appoint to make those decisions for you. Um, and those are healthcare decisions. So we're talking, and medical decisions. We're talking about like hiring and firing your doctors, like talking to them about your treatment, and like authorizing surgeries and all of that good stuff. So they're the ones that are managing your healthcare, if you cannot do it on your own. And coupled with that, there are a couple of other documents that help your healthcare power of attorney, like your advance directives, aka a living will, not to be confused with the last will and testament. Those are two different things. Um, but your advance directives or your living will, this is a document where you get to name, and state your end of life care wishes. So if you were ever in a situation where it's pretty much determined that you're alive, but they're like, there's no chance of you making it. Um, maybe you're on life support, and they're saying you're probably not going to recover or something along those lines. Then what are your wishes surrounding that? How long do you want to be on life support? At what point can your agent pull the plug? Do you want to have your own stipulations as far as, when you want to be taken off life support, or do you want to still receive artificial hydration and nutrition? Um, what about life prolonging measures? Like those types of decisions you're going to be talking about in your living will or your advance directives, and your healthcare agent will be able to follow those if you have one. And
So
then,
let me
okay, go ahead.
yeah, let me stop you
Hmm.
right there for a second. And it's
Hmm.
interesting. We had a session at the financial planning conference,
Hmm.
and it talked about those directives.
Hmm.
And there were some situations, and there are different rules I was learning amongst the states about how some things are interpreted. So,
Hmm.
for instance, they were saying, you have somebody who went in for surgery,
Hmm.
and they met with the team and the nurses and the doctors, and they went over all the directives.
Hmm.
But something went wrong in the surgery, and the doctors go straight to what they're trained to do, which is save you.
Hmm.
And in the scenario they gave, like the person who had the uh, directive that was appointed to make the decisions had maybe gone out to get something to eat. So they weren't there to say, no, 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 don't do anything.
Mm.
And so you ended up with people going through something that they didn't want to go through necessarily.
Sure.
And again, I forget some of the technical terms, but it was interesting that they had a session for us specifically on the directives and
Oh wow.
how sensitive that can be,
Yeah, they're
even
so
when a
important.
and so they were saying now that you're seeing a lot of the emergency rooms and things of that nature
Hmm.
actually starting to ask patients, do
Hmm.
you have a directive? Give it to us so we have it, so we can
Yeah.
understand what your wishes are. So
Yeah,
that's
they've started to do. Yeah, I've heard that as well, which is
yeah,
good. I mean,
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
good
yeah.
it's a good thing.
But there's no, but apparently there's not a consensus amongst the states. So
No, mm-mm.
yeah, so like
And it
you
could
could
depend on
be
the institution too,
right,
itself.
yeah. So you
So,
could be in New York and your
hmm,
director was written in North Carolina. I'm just making up an example, and they may not acknowledge it.
that's true. Yeah, that's why you
So
always.
yeah,
That's another point of why you always want to keep your estate plan documents updated.
uh-huh.
And moving from state to state is you absolutely need to get your estate plan documents
Wow.
updated if you move because estate law is state specific. And
Mm-hmm.
so to Marcus's point, something that is applicable here in North Carolina might not be applicable in Arizona. And so, you need to make sure that your documents are complying with the laws of the state that you are living in at the time. Um, that's a whole nother topic, but
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
you just want to keep your documents updated, period. Like if your life changes in any other way, like moving is a major life, update. If you
Event.
get
Yeah.
married, if you get divorced, if you start having kids, if people that you've named in your plan have died, like, if the law, when the laws change. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
keep your state
Absolutely.
plan documents updated.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No. It was just I just had to kind of put that out there because it was interesting that that came up. So all right, continue on. Let you
Yes.
back to
Oh
financial
yes.
documents.
Yes. So also, if you're ever in a situation where you're alive and can't make decisions for yourself, you need someone to manage your legal and financial life as well. So you have your person, healthcare power of attorney that's managing your healthcare, but you also need somebody that is kind of managing your financial life as well. And that is where your general durable power of attorney comes into play. Same thing as healthcare power of attorney. For the most part, you'll name agents to step into your shoes if you are ever in a situation, and they'll be able to make those decisions for you. They'll be able to, pay your bills or, sign contracts on your behalf, manage real estate or investments or, stuff like that. Um, and so, yeah, you will name, those people to kind of step in for you to do that. And if you do have a trust, particularly a lot of people are establishing revocable living trusts now. If you do have that and you are ever in a situation where you are still alive and can't make decisions for yourself, your successor's trustee can actually step up and manage your trust assets for you while you are, in that situation. So, they'll be able to manage and any assets that you put into your trust, they'll be able to manage for you if you're ever in that situation.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I'm just clicking through some of those things you just mentioned in terms of those ownerships and things of that nature.
Yes.
All right. So trust. You mentioned that a couple times. Um,
Yes.
tell us about the trust, what it does. Maybe there's never, I don't think we can use the word ideal fit, but there's maybe situations that warrant it. I know you mentioned real estate earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and so there could be some things that definitely warrant it from a financial standpoint. One of the big things we have is the ILIT, the the life insurance trust, and that's mostly for tax purposes. We're just trying to get assets out so you don't get hit with estate taxes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but from your perspective on again the focus on passing items, um, and maybe touch on I know a big concept the pour over will. and how those go together with the trust. So, yeah, if you can take that for us.
Yes, that is a good question. So yes, a lot of people, like I said, are, thinking about maybe going the trust route when it comes to distributing, like the assets, the things that you own, and you can definitely do that. The difference between that and a will is that, when you establish a trust and you sign the papers, you sign the document, the trust agreement, then it becomes effective immediately. Um, and so that just means that, uh, if something were to happen to you, you're incapacitated, like I said earlier, or you pass away, then you will have named successor trustees in this agreement, and they will be able to manage the assets that you have in the trust on behalf of the beneficiaries that you have also named in the trust. If you establish a revocable living trust in particular, there are three roles. You have the person that made it, it's called the grantor, the settlor, depends on the state that you're in. The trustee, the person that manages the assets and makes distributions, and then the beneficiaries, and they're the ones that receive the distributions of the funds from the trust. And so if you create one of these, you actually serve in all three of those roles while you are alive. And so that means that a lot of people think, you have to like you're doing something different if you have a revocable trust during your lifetime, and you're actually not. You're going about your life as normal. You're filing taxes as normal. You're not opening up any new accounts or anything like that. Um, your plan mainly becomes, it really starts going and like things start happening if something were to happen to you. And so that's where I was talking about where you have your successor trustees that will step in and really, execute, administer the terms of the trust as you have stated. And it does if you fund it, aka, you change the beneficiaries of some of your assets and ownership of your assets to your trust. If you do all of that properly, then your loved ones can avoid have to go through that probate process that we talked about earlier. So that means they get immediate access to the funds, their inheritance. They don't have to wait for a time period to allow, you know, uh, creditors, whatever, to do whatever. They can just immediately step in and do whatever they need to do, um, and administer it according to what you have set, right? And so a lot of people are thinking about doing that if they want to have their loved ones to not have to do all of the things with the court system when it comes to when somebody passes away, which it can be you know a lot. I have seen it where even people that had very modest estates, they were dealing with the probate process for almost two. I still have a client go 2 years 2 years, and it's not like they had a lot of money or anything like
Right.
that, but you know also you have to think about, like, people have just passed away, and but probably somebody that they love, they're probably grieving, all of that stuff. And then also family dynamics um, can really come to a head as well. So it's not just people think that, oh, if I don't have a lot, then it's going to be simple for my people, even if I don't have a plan in place, and that's not the case.
Mhm.
Like, it
Right.
can still be complicated if you have little amounts of assets, I promise you.
Mhm.
But that's where having a plan really, like, alleviates that for the people that you leave behind. They don't have to worry about what your wishes were because you documented them, whether they like them or not. I mean, it doesn't matter because you have expressed what you want, and so only they can only carry it out as you've said. So you know.
Yeah, I think that's important because a lot of people ask the question like, how much money do I need? And it's
Hmm.
not about the money. It's your wishes being carried out
Exactly.
as you want them, and
That's the
making
point.
it, yeah, and
Mhm.
making it as easy as
Yeah,
possible.
that's the whole
And
point.
it could be like you're saying, how much will you end up spending to do this if you don't do these things?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And we like I said, we had that situation where the the just like I said, the simple thing where the will substitutes weren't done, and
Hmm.
the cost of that going through probate was a good $1,500 to $2,000 more than the cost of the whole estate plan.
Oh, I
Mhm.
believe I believe that wholeheartedly. It's that.
Yeah.
Listen. It's always going to be more. Like it's
Hmm.
always going to be more. I can
Yeah.
guarantee you that, and I'm not just saying that. I'm telling you this because I see it every freaking day.
Yeah.
Hmm.
um, like it's
Yeah.
just the truth. It's just the
Yeah.
facts.
Because
So,
yeah,
you
I'm just
know,
talking about from a cost perspective,
yeah.
but I'm not even talking about the fact that the delay in getting the money. So
Hmm.
the
Exactly.
money had to come from
Exactly.
somewhere to pay things too.
Exactly.
I didn't even
Hmm.
Exactly.
add that in. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly.
yes,
And that
it's
causes a lot of stress. So we're talk
exactly.
about the emotional effect and toll that it takes on people, and
Hmm.
it's
Exactly.
stressful, and you know, it's a lot. It's a lot for somebody to handle.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
well, this has been good. This has been good. Again, the point tonight was, educational to make sure people are aware of some of the things they need to do. Of course, everybody's situation is unique in its own right,
absolutely.
um, and we could be on here a good another
Oh my
hour
God.
giving you guys examples of this, that, and the third. Um, but I encourage everyone to just reach out if you have questions. Reach out because the
Please,
goal
please
is for
do.
you all to for us to share our experiences and as professionals to to help guide you all through these processes. Do your
Hmm.
planning ahead of time just so everything goes according to how you'd like it. So with that said, y'all already know how to find us. Mariah, what is your best contact? How do they find you? Of course, y'all can
Yes.
always call us and we will book an
We'll put you
appointment.
in direction.
We
That's
will
it.
book an appointment for you with Mariah.
Yes.
But otherwise,
And they
they
will.
need to just find. Yeah, and we do.
And they
We
do.
Hmm.
talk to her quite a bit. Like Mariah, got this
Like,
situation. So,
yes.
all right,
Yes.
what's the best contact number for you and email address?
Yes, y'all. Again, I work with Trust and Estates Law Group. My email is M as in Mary Street, Street, like walking down the street, at N as in Nancy, C as in cat, estateplanning.com. So it's M Street at ncestateplanning.com. My direct number is 919-573-1433. So feel free to contact me, and I'm sure they'll have this information somewhere. But again, the number is 919-573-1433. So feel free to reach out anytime.
Awesome, awesome. And before we let her go, you all, we just want to let you know she was a little bit under the weather, so I'm so glad
I
she was able to
was.
make it through the session. It actually probably was helpful for us because you have a lot more energy than what you uh really were able to share with the people tonight.
I
So
know.
it made all of us slow down because Jeff and I kind of talk fast too,
We
and
do.
And
you
normally,
help.
normally I do too,
Yeah,
but I'm
so
just like
it
I'm a
helps slow
little
all of
slow.
us down. So we're appreciative of that. But again, thank you. Hope you feel better. And
Thank you.
Jeff and I will be ringing your phone probably
Oh,
before the
you
end of
Hmm.
the
are
week
you
with
already know
something to talk
I'm
about.
doing the same. I'm
Hmm.
doing the same.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you all again for joining us tonight. Estate planning. Again, we'll probably take a deeper dive and have these
Yeah.
once a quarter and maybe just pick an issue and really
Yeah,
go
let's pick,
deeper on a
yes, because I was about
trust
to say
or a
there's so
will.
many. I mean, we could
Yeah,
go
so we
a
can,
bunch of different
yeah,
directions.
yeah, good
Hmm.
overview tonight just to get us started, but we can really dive deep on
Yeah.
what's really in a durable power of attorney. Maybe that's a session.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
all really get some insight on how that works. So again, thanks everyone for joining us on our webinar again, March. I couldn't tell you the date. Visit our website. It's got it on there, LinkedIn page. But real estate investing and the tax strategy, wonderful presentation by someone much smarter than myself that knows this backwards and forwards. So cannot wait to have him on. Jeff and I have been seeing him live a couple times.
Hmm.
So definitely some moving parts there, some do's and don'ts. We want to make sure everyone's aware of when they're selling property, things of that nature. So
Hmm.
until next time, everyone, thank you for joining us. You all have a great week. Stay safe, stay warm. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yes.